So the Z50ii, why is it better than the first generation? So we're just going to go over the main points why this is a superior camera to the first generation. Besides shooting video with this a lot, which is the main reason why I got it, I put the Smallrig cage on there, and it helps with my pinky to have a spot for that to go. So if you have big hands, your pinky's probably not going to fit on it, just like the first generation. Still has the same kind of body shape. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit bigger grip, a little deeper for bigger hands. So the sensor is still the same 20.9. There is no IBIS. The ISO is still the same 151,000, and whenever it comes to the shutter speed, the mechanical shutter is 1/4000th of a second. So if you are shooting a fast aperture lens outside, you might not be able to do that without stopping down a little bit. So if you have like a 1.2 or an f2 lens and you're outside, 1/4000 might not be enough in a sunny day. So the rest of this are things it's going to be better at or improved. So first things first, same kit lens, same 16 to 50, but the screen now flips out. So now you can see what you're doing, which is super nice. Really appreciate that. And also you can flip it back and then fold it flat to protect the screen. So that's pretty cool too. So if you just want to look through the viewfinder and not constantly chimp or look at the back screen, it kind of helps with that. So we're going to work our way around this so we can see the differences. So real quick, as you can see from that flipping around, there's no more touch buttons on the touch screen on the side, on the right side of the screen. I really hated those. Pain to use. That's all I can say on that. And added a little bit different button layout on the back, which is much appreciated. And then on the side of the camera, now we have a mic in and a headphone port. We didn't have a headphone port before, so that's pretty cool. And now we have a USB-C port on the side for charging, so you can use the camera on AC power while you're shooting if you wanted to, or a really big, like V-mount, gold mount battery. And it does have the really tiny HDMI on there too, so not a big fan of that. Super flimsy, but for a $900 camera, it is what it is. Inside the body, on the bottom, same layout as the first generation. You have the battery and the SD card, but this time the SD card slot is now UHS 2, which is awesome. Now it can shoot forever, and you don't have to worry about your buffer. So I really like that, and just fire away forever. Up to 200 frames, and it shoots 11 frames per second. And also on top of the camera, up here where you record your ISO button and exposure compensation, there is a new button for picture profiles. So you can open that up, hold the button, and select through all these different picture profiles. It's kind of like Nikon's version of like film simulations, I guess, something like that. It's not really something that I'm probably going to use a whole lot, but you can use it in photo or video. So for the viewfinder, we have a nice upgrade. It's still the same 2.36 dot EVF, still the same 60 Hz, not high refresh rate, it's not blackout free, it's not a stack sensor, but it is now a 1000 nit viewfinder. So people like me that have transition lenses, you go outside, it's really bright out, lenses get dark, you can still see this really good. And now we have Expeed 7 in here, just like the Z6 III, ZF, Z8, Z9, all those. So now we have access to 3D tracking, and its subject detection has been greatly improved. So now we have bird, plane, and animal, and then it can automatically select in between all those automatically by itself if you just let it do it on auto. And a little upgrade if you do landscape is you can do more than just 30 seconds. You don't have to use bulb mode anymore for long exposures. You can do up to 900 seconds on this, just like the Z6 II, Z7 II, and newer. Another cool aspect, if you're into anything fast moving, you can do pre-capture on this up to 1 second. and it's only in JPEG, so you have to shoot in JPEG, not RAW, and Precapture is only in JPEG. But it can do it up to 30 frames per second, so you get 30 frames prior to pressing the shutter button. So that can be pretty useful for certain situations. So talking about the Precapture and the JPEG shooting, you can shoot up to 30 frames per second in the full resolution in JPEG, electronic mode shooting only. So if you shoot that with Precapture on, you're gaining 1 second of photos for that, and I was able to get 5 seconds of continuous 30 frames per second JPEG with the V90 card that I'm using in this camera. And that card is a Kingston 128 V90. So, and obviously you can shoot in silent, and for myself personally, I programmed, let me see which one it is, I can't ever remember. I programmed FN1 right here, kind of hard to see. Programmed FN1 to switch between mechanical and silent. So you can shoot mechanical and then switch to silent and you don't hear anything. But it has a sensor readout of a 24.6 milliseconds. So it's like a quarter second readout speed. So really not that fast of a sensor readout. But if a subject is stationary, not moving, like you're not shooting sports, or if like you're in a blind and there's a deer or something like that, silent shooting would work really good for something like that because it's not moving or getting anything warped. So that's kind of cool. And if you pair it with a 180 to 600, and it focuses super quiet, so it's a really good thing to use with that. So we're going to jump into the video aspects of the upgrade from Generation 1 to the Generation 2 here. So you have the toggle switch on top, but with the cage, it's kind of a pain to get to. So you can push it from the front to get to video, push it from the back, get the photo, but it's not the easiest thing to do with this bar thing in the way, so just something to think about. But that's how you switch to photo video. And then whenever you switch to video, and you press the record button, you get a really cool red tally light here in the front. And whenever the battery starts dying, it'll start blinking at you. So when you're in front of the camera, it'll at least give you a cue that, hey, the battery's getting low. And I personally kind of wish that that was like on the Z9 that I'm filming on right now. So another cool thing about it is this camera now shoots log and log. So you can use the Nikon red LUTs on it whenever you're editing, especially in like DaVinci Resolve Studio, which is what I use. And while the video in this is 265, is going to be 10-bit, even if you're shooting in log, so that's pretty cool. And it's going to be downsampled to 4K. And another nice thing about this is you can shoot for more than 29 minutes and 59 seconds. You can shoot video until the battery's dead, so you can thank Europe for that one. And the highest resolution you can shoot at is 4K 60 with a 1.5 crop on that, so it gets kind of intense. So make sure you have at least enough working distance to do that because you're already on a crop sensor. But you can also do 1080 120p on this, and it's not going to be the sharpest 1080 ever, but it still gives you the option to get some B-roll or something if you really need that, and this is the only camera you got. And the battery that comes with this is the ENEL25A battery, and Nikon claims it is about 10% higher capacity. So if you still have the first generation ENEL25 laying around, keep it, use it. 10% isn't going to be a crazy amount you're going to gain, so make sure you save batteries and reuse them if you have them. And I was trying to find out if this camera was actually weather sealed. So if you look on B&H and like Adorama, Nikon's website, I didn't really see anything specifically saying that it was weather sealed. And I know some other cameras it will specifically say that, like for the Z9 it will say it's weather sealed. So I contacted Nikon through NPS to verify if it was weather sealed or not. So I'm going to read the email that Nikon sent me from my NPS request. The Z52 seals will help protect the camera from a little light rain or snow where it is not soaked or saturated and easy to wipe dry. The camera is water resistant, not waterproof, and definitely not able to be submerged. I feel like that's kind of a given. If you believe your camera will be exposed to heavy dust, rain, or vibration shock, I recommend considering a third-party housing unit to guard against the elements. Others have used plastic bags and rubber bands in a pinch, or tuck it in your coat until you will shoot and then wipe it off when it gets wet. I have no test data to offer regarding Z50 exposure to rain, but it's in line with what we can be expected of a camera in its class. So, basically they're saying it is weather sealed, but of its class, I'm not really sure what they're trying to say with that. I mean, it's a $900, basically an entry camera. So I'm sure it's not sealed to like a Z8 standard, but they said it will be fine with a little bit of fog, mist, dust, that kind of thing. So, and one extra thing for video that I am pretty excited to use, because I will be using this camera for a lot of talking head like this, or talking about camera reviews or reviewing specific things, is it has something called Product Showcase. The idea is if you're showing something in your hands, you go like this to show it towards the camera will focus on whatever's in your hand, and you don't have to block your face with it and hope that eventually it will lock on to the camera like that. And then I have to remove it from in front of my face, and then a Z9 will focus back on my face. But this will not. It'll just automatically switch back and forth, and it would be super cool to have that on the higher end bodies. And probably one of the biggest cons on this camera body that I can think of off the top of my head is simply that there is no lock for this top dial. Now I've been shooting with this for about 2 months, and I'll be carrying it on like the 180 to 600 or anything else really, or if it's just in my camera bag. Like, it's super easy to just accidentally bump this and like rotate it to a different setting. Like, I'll be shooting and like the numbers are jumping all over the place, exposure's going crazy. I'm like, what is going on? And I look, oh yeah, the camera's on auto. And one more cool thing that they added to this that was not on the Z51 is you have the ability to put voice memos on your photos or files. So you can do that just like on the higher end cameras. Now, I do not have a Z51 at my disposal, but I hope here soon I will have one so I can do a comparison between the 1 and 2 to see if the Expeed 7 processor helps with the blackout at highest frames per second, to see if there's a big difference in that. So if you found this video interesting or useful to tell the difference between the 1st gen and 2nd gen Z50, if the upgrade is worth for you if you have the 1st generation, or if you're looking to buy the Z52, I will have a whole bunch of these videos in a series, and eventually I will have one big long video stitched together with everything in one shot, so you don't have to skip around to different clips and videos to see everything. So until next time, happy shooting. I'll see you out there.